Hi, I'm Gatiss and I'm going to talk through this Sunday's readings from the Lectionary, the fourth Sunday after Trinity. And those readings are 1 Kings chapter 19 verses 1 to 15, Galatians chapter 3 verses 23 to 29, and Luke chapter 8 verses 26 to 39. You might find it helpful to have read through those passages before listening to the rest of this video. This Sunday's readings speak about dramatic escapes which teach us humility before the God who rescues and continues his work. Threatened with immediate death by Jezebel, Elijah ran to the southern border of Israel and crossed over into the wilderness alone. He had had enough and would rather be killed by God than have to keep contending with the Queen. But God sends an angel to sustain him. He needed food and rest, that's true, but he also needed to know that God was with him and would uphold him in the wilderness, in his weakness. He also needed, I think, to get a bit of perspective. So he went back to the place where the covenant had been cut, the covenant the Israelites had broken and which he was trying to enforce. When the word of the Lord came to him asking, "What are you doing here, Elijah?" he recounted his woes. "I'm the only one left, and they're trying to kill me," he lamented. So what was the point of all his strenuous effort to keep the covenant alive? Now, it wasn't true, of course. At the very least, he was impetuously dismissing Obadiah and the 100 other prophets hidden away in a cave, just as he was now. Look back to 1 Kings chapter 18, verses 3 and 4 to find out about Obadiah and the other 100 prophets. We might also mention the 7,000 others who had not bowed the knee to Baal. When we start to see ourselves and our ministries or churches as so untouchably unique and exceptional that they appear to us to be indispensable or identical to the cause of God himself, then we really do need to get out more. But Elijah was not above the need for a divine rebuke for this kind of narcissistic arrogance. The Lord spoke to him, but not out of the piercing wind, not out of the earthquake, not even out of the fire, all of which recalls the frightening conditions at Sinai when Moses received the law there. Elijah heard God's call to continue his work in a brief silence or low whisper. God is not active merely in the dramatic timpani or the deafening trumpets, but also in the gentle violin, the sweet soprano, and the pregnant pause. And so Elijah was told to anoint 3 others who would continue God's work for him. The man in the gospel reading this week does not feel alone as Elijah felt he was. This man's name is Legion, and he is tormented by many demons. Living amongst the dead and in the wilds, he recognizes Jesus as the Son of the Most High God. The demons beg him not to send them into the abyss, but into the unclean herd of pigs on the hillside. He allows them to rush down into the lake and drown, while the man is restored to his right mind to sit at the feet of Jesus, no longer in shackles. What is it that fills the whole countryside with fear? It isn't what happened to the pigs, but seeing the miraculous restoration of this one man to mental health. So Jesus then commissions that very man to spread the good news of God's rescuing work. Before Christ came, Legion was imprisoned by demons and bound by chains. In a similar way, the Apostle Paul says the law had us locked up was our nanny, our governess or tutor, set over us by God to care for and command us for a set period of time. But now faith in Christ has come and we escape those bonds. Just as Legion was clothed and in his right mind, so we who are right with God by faith are clothed with Christ, baptized into him. If by faith we belong to Jesus, then we are heirs of God, our primary identity, which trumps all others. Gentiles, unclean Gentiles, can be Abraham's offspring, not just Jews. Slaves, not just the freeborn. Women, not just men. Like Elijah, we learn that God's promise gives us a wider perspective and pricks our sinful pride.